Hello and welcome to Delphi is Great at Grade 11 Theory, Module 3.3, the impact of technology on the global community. This is basically globalization. So, not so long ago, people in the world didn't communicate and didn't work in the same way that we do now. So, you couldn't just go and draw money down the street at the ATM, you had to go into the bank during working hours to draw money. And it was the same with a lot of things. So you couldn't book tickets online. You'd have to walk into a specific ticket selling place like a theater, and you'd have, during working hours that is, and you'd have to go and buy them there with cash, not a credit card. So you were very restricted in your ability to access certain things. You couldn't shop online. You were restricted to what was around you, which was quite disappointing. And then since the 1990s, we've had quite an explosion, really, of electronics-based technology, which is driven by the ever-shrinking size and the ever-increasing power of the microchip. So we need to talk a little bit about globalization. So globalization is the integration of economies. So that's when goods and services and industries become reliant on each other across countries. Moreover, it's the integration of cultures and ideas and groups across the globe. That's why it's represented in the cultural diversity of a whole bunch of different places, as well as the exchange of cultural ideas between different people. Moreover, globalization is driven by a worldwide network of communication, so you can exchange information across the world. It's also driven by the fact that you can travel across the world very easily, and that you can trade across the world very easily as well. You can go online, order something from Amazon, and it will be sent to you from the UK straight to South Africa in a matter of days. You couldn't do that before. And you are now able to immigrate far more easily because transportation methods have become far more quick and far more cheap. So let's take a look at which technologies enable globalization. So that's things like air travel. So before, people would only be able to travel across the world on boats. Now that we have airplanes, you're able to travel far faster and far more easily, and so far more people do travel and exchange cultural ideas and information. Similarly, cell phones and email, as well as the internet, enable us to exchange information freely and contact each other across the globe instantaneously, which was never possible before. Similarly, the internet also allows us to buy goods from across the world really, really easily, and air travel ensures that those goods arrive at your door very soon after you order them. GPS enables us to go anywhere in the world and know where we are and to feel safe because we know that we're not lost. Now that means that far more people are more willing to go overseas and to go to all different places in the world. E-learning, which is part of the internet, and which actually this is right now, this video is part of e-learning. It means that people can exchange and share an enormous body of knowledge globally, and that means that people aren't restricted by the information that they have access to within their country. I have access to information that everyone in Harvard and Yale and Cambridge has, and I can learn from the same body of information as them, which means that globally we reach a similar level in terms of our intellectual development. Now, globalization has had a very big impact on society, and it's important that we have a look at exactly what that impact is. So it's meant that we have global communication. I can talk to someone in China from South Africa. I can talk to someone in Australia or the UK or America because I can either use my cell phone, I can use email, and that means that we have global exchange of information, and it means that we are able to trade with each other and we're able to outsource. Now that means that we're competing for resources. So people can buy the cheapest car parts from China rather than from the shop down the street. And that means that, well, it's cheaper for them, yes, but it means that the shop down the street needs to compete with the really cheap car parts that you can buy in China, and they need to try and lower their prices, which can be quite difficult. But it also means that people compete over more than just goods. The best universities in the world take international students from all over the world because they get the best students in the world rather than the best students in their country, which has been enabled because of globalization. Similarly, we have outsourcing and telecommuting. Now that is when people within a country hire people who live in a different country. So for example, if I, living in South Africa, were to hire a programmer from England to come and work for me. So that person in England could immigrate into South Africa and live here and work for me for a few years and then move back to England when he chose to. Or he could telecommute and he could do his programming on his computer at home in England, and he could send me information over the internet, over a VPN most likely. And we can Skype and have meetings. And so using IT, and because of globalization, we are no longer restricted by the boundaries of our country, and we can work together irrespective of where we live. Similarly, we have global access to information. So everyone can see the same information, which is really awesome. However, it does mean that it's very difficult to restrict information. Now, that means that when an actress's nude pictures are leaked on Reddit, it's very difficult to prevent those pictures from spreading and being picked up by people. They'll always be on the internet somewhere, and someone will have gained access to them and will continuously be able to repost them. And other information, like politically sensitive information, once leaked, is very, very difficult to get back and to prevent it from spreading, because anyone on the globe can access that information using the internet, and they're not going to just give it back. So the main impacts of globalization is that it means that we have access to people, to goods, to ideas from all over the world. And that is so useful, and which we are very lucky to have. So I hope you've managed to learn a bit about globalization and about how technology has impacted the global community. Thank you so much.